Alright, we got ourselves the Omega Shenron no item run. This is the hardest fight in the game. Doing it with no items is certainly a trek, but nonetheless, we are here. This was like a war, right? This was like a 30-minute fight. It's quite the gauntlet, but I think what I'll do is explain why I brought every unit that I did. And I think everything will kind of make sense, and ultimately, this is what led to me getting the W, and we are now 8 for 8 on these Shadow Dragon no item runs. I said I was going to wait a little bit for this, but I ended up kind of like, I just couldn't help it, right? I'm like, my buddy sent like a team build, and I'm like, wait a minute, I could kind of do that, right? The one difference, the main difference they had between the one that I had and the one that they used is they had the STR Carnival Goku. So that was kind of where things were a little bit different, but I simply just, I believe, who did I use in replacement for him again? The replacement that I used was Physical Super Vegeta. Yeah, that's right. Physical Super Vegeta. It was quite a movie, for lack of a better term, right? So, you guys are hearing some clicks, I'm just pulling up the units that I used as we were talking, so that way I can kind of explain everything in a better sense and give you the overall gauge of why I brought who I brought and their overall purpose to the team, right? So we'll start off with the obvious stuff. We have our boy Piccolo, right? Orange Piccolo, Power Awakened Piccolo. This guy is an absolute stud. One of the most underrated things I think of this unit overall with what he is doing is he brings the ability to give everybody ki when he gets hit. So 2 ki to the rotation, especially when you're running TURs on the squad, it helps so much because when you don't have like the overall ki that you need, it kind of bails you out, if you will, right? Where it's like, oh, Gamma 1 still needs 2 ki. Oh, there you go, Piccolo's getting hit, we're good, guys. And when those AoEs are in there, we know that he's going to get hit before slot 2, before slot 3, wherever you have to put him, right? And that's kind of like the idea, right? With this guy having his intro, he gets attack and defense 100% and guards all attacks for 3 turns when there's another master and student bond category ally on this team at start of its character's attack turn. I don't know why I read that word for word. We get attack and defense 150% at the start of turn. We get an additional ki +1 per ki sphere obtained, so super easy to get his ki. Additional attack and defense with each received, so he builds up to 150%. And then HP or 30% or less, we get a full heal, and then we also get the additional damage reduction at 30%. And you guys are going to see that full heal comes in super, super clutch. And then when we go into Orange Piccolo, you guys know it is basically just sitting around waiting for it to be over, but you are doing damage that adds up significantly, and that basically turns into like a mega nuking active skill when you think about it in that sense, right? I think that is kind of the best way to go about it. He just does a lot of damage and is able to tank really well. I think if you guys kind of pay attention, I know it's sped up at the beginning, but this video would be 30 minutes, and 21 minutes I think is long enough. So you guys are seeing everything. We're checking defense, trying to make sure we're making the smartest play each turn, and that is why we are taking our time with it, right? But Orange Piccolo, what makes him so good is, especially in the last phase, when you were in that last phase, you have the ability to seal away his super attack if he does it in the orange form, and then that also takes away some of the AoEs. It replaces the attack placement because like the turn when you get out, the attacks are going to move around, and that is like so important, right? So let me just tell you one of the unsung MVPs of this run, and surely you guys know how good he is, but STR Banner Unit Piccolo. Let's just go down the list, right? Ki 1, attack and defense 200% at the start of turn. Guards all attacks. Additional attack and defense 50%, and medium chance of performing a crit for 3 turns after receiving an attack. He's getting hit like every turn, right? Additional damage reduction of 50% per movie heroes category ally. We don't have very many movie heroes on this team. We have Gamma 1, we have himself, and then we also have Orange Piccolo. I believe that's it for the movie heroes. And then, so that's 45% damage reduction. In the same turn, I'm sorry, when guard is activated. So it's like usually we're going to get 15 to 30% because we always have him with Piccolo. Superclass allies, Ki 2, defense plus 30%, additional attack plus 30% for superclass allies when there's an extreme class enemy, so we're always getting that additional support. And then attack and defense plus 50% when facing only 1 enemy, and an additional defense 100% when facing 2 or more enemies, so that does not matter, it's just the first one. So attack and defense 50% this whole time, then, you know, raises attack and defense on his super attack. He shares 4 lengths with Piccolo, that is why we have him here. And then he also has like a bit of an extra damage reduction when we enter into a rotation. He's just really good, and I think you guys are going to find that he is oftentimes the slot 1 tank in the int phase, right? And also, one other thing to note, that what makes this so long is the just the sheer amount of healing that this STR Omega does. So it's like, the way I described it when I was running it, aside from just the healing, is when you're using somebody like Super Vegito, this is literally just like, this is Dokkan Russian roulette right here. Like, where you're just playing with fire the entire time using that guy, just floating him off and praying the 4 attacks in slot 3 are not a super. And most of the time, unless there's like 15 attacks in slot 3, we just have to put him there and hope that the super's in slot 1 or slot 2. Because that's just the only way to get out of it, right? The same thing happens with Gamma 2 in this run, and I think it's going to slow down when we get to Omega, but or when we get out of Orange Piccolo and stuff like that, but when you guys see that, it's going to be pretty impressive, I think. You guys are going to be, I think Gamma 1 does a pretty good job here, considering we don't have Gamma 2 around. I was thoroughly impressed with him. So, the main damage dealers we have at 55%. We have the infamous Boo Duo. Now, this is kind of fun because this is kind of the event that we, like, when it comes to, like, how we were talking about this event in general, right? Or not this event in general, but just this game in general. We were talking about when the Boo Duo came out, it's like, oh, when there's going to be a long event that's suited for them, it's going to be, like, super, super nice for them because now we're going to be able to see them at their full potential, right? And it's like, we finally get there, and their full potential is basically here. And, maybe not their full potential, but this is like a really good event for them because it's super long. It's usually like a 12 to 13 turn fight. So that standby is you're going to get it pretty often. And with that, yeah, so this is what I'm talking about right here, where it's like, this is kind of like a funny thing because I'm sitting here talking to my buddies as I'm doing this. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And then I'm like, I forgot about that I had Orange Piccolo. I'm like, wait a minute. Just go orange, right? So, you know, we went back to normal time there for about 30 seconds. Just back to sped up. So, yeah, so the Boo Duo. They stack defense the entire fight with all their supers. And then when you get into... And it's just like, there's so much here to talk about, right? They have quad super chance for their turns. There's a lot of times they're going to be doing 3 to 4 supers when you get that 24 key. They have the crit chance that builds up per super up to 50%. They have the standby when you go type disadvantage, and then the Spirit Bomb that doesn't really do much damage in the STR phase, but really can mess up the int phase, especially when you fully charge it up and all that. It's just with these guys, you're looking at north of 1 million defense, 990,000 defense. I think is the highest number we see them at. And then when you have type advantage like that, it's just like, what is Omega supposed to do, right? It's a lot. He can't really keep up in terms of like just the stacking numbers that we do, and I think that's really what ultimately gets us the W, right? When it comes to their damage, at 55%, they do leave a bit to be desired, unfortunately, and that's kind of what it came down to for me. It was like the crits, they were being very fraudulent with the crits and stuff like that, and they just weren't doing everything that they needed to do, and that was kind of what it came down to with, you know, they put in work because defensively they just became a wall and they were just untouchable, and with that standby, you can't be hurt in that standby so long as you get the rainbow orbs, right? Like, there isn't a time at all where I'm nervous. I think maybe they take a super for like 80k type disadvantage or something like that, but like, you have to remember like the perspective of this, right? It's like if you're taking 80k from that super, that's impressive, like in this event, right? Like, it's like the Cell Max effect, where if a unit's taking like 150k from a Cell Max super, that's pretty good. Like, considering 99% of the game is taking over 1 million damage, if you're taking like 100,000 from that super, that's really good. And like the signs of like a god tier, S tier unit is like if they take double digits, right? Like that's not even S tier, that's Z tier. If like you're able to take double digits from that super, which, you know, not many units can at all. I don't know if any really can, to be off the top of my head. Unless Trunks and Vegeta stack for like 15 turns, I don't know if any unit in the game is taking that super for double digits. So it's like, that's kind of how they set it up. Their attempt to make us feel the hopelessness of the Cell Max fight certainly worked, right? Because that's a tough fight still. Like, that fight, it's easier now because we just have so many more options than we did, but that fight was definitely not a pushover. When it came out, it was rough. So, we have a couple more units to break down here. Physical Super Vegito. You know, the fact that you can bring him into the hardest fight in the game with his Russian roulette style defense is really just a testament to how overpowered he could be and just is not ultimately. You know, offensively, he has to be fully built up after all the AoEs that he's doing. The crit counters are nice. Sometimes we just like chip 1 million HP away when he gets hit with it. And, you know, ultimately, he's not here to do damage. He's just here to take the normal attacks and not get us killed, right? normals that he does, it's just, that's basically just how it goes, right? That's really all I have to say about him. So Gamma 1, the damage reduction, the guard, the build up. Let me pull him up. Where are we at? Just want to make sure everybody is on the same page as to what I did. So we are going to superhero. There's Gamma 1. Okay, so just want to make sure everybody knows. Attack at 50% and guard activated against all attacks for 4 turns. Attack and defense 150, so the guard has been gone, but he builds up. Additional attack plus 100 when launching a super attack. Attack and defense plus 20% and damage reduction plus 10% for each attack received. Up to 50%, so he's going to have 50% damage reduction. Medium chance to perform a crit for the rest of the battle once 5 or more attacks have been received, which he has at this point. Then he also gives key 1 and defense plus 30 to the rotation, and a great chance of guarding an enemy's unarmed super attack, and that is not what Omega is doing. So he unfortunately does not have that, but that is okay. He, defensively, just that damage reduction adds up super nicely. You can't really ask for much more. 50% damage reduction is always going to be clutch and stuff like this, and ultimately that's what it comes down to, right? He's just basically here to sit pretty and not die. And I'd say he does just that. We are going to reach a point where he is floating, and you guys will see it. He is like, he takes a slot 3 super, and you know, you're thinking that's 700, 800k damage, but it's not. It hurts. It hurts like hell, but you'll see. He ultimately, after the end of the run, I gave him the MVP title, if you will. So we're finally up to normal speed here now, right? Now that it's been slowed down, we can talk about the run a little bit more. Quickly, Trunks of Vegeta, I'll just kind of like briefly break them down, right? Guard, stacking, active skill, support, defensive support, crit chance, all that fun stuff. That's basically what it comes down to, right? And also, look at all those attacks in slot 1. Like, how many is that? Am I going to be able to like count this? Yeah, so it's kind of tough to see right there on my screen because it's like kind of zoomed in, but they both are like in the 500, 600k defensive range. And Trunks of Vegeta, they're just going to be able to do that thing, right? Nothing like, you know, groundbreaking about them. Unfortunately, we could not get their 18 key. Just the way that the key spread out, I wanted to make sure that the Buu Duos get in their 24 key because they are the damage dealer of this rotation. Despite Trunks of Vegeta, like, they really do put in work in this run, and specifically. They have a lot going on in terms of like their defense. Just that guard is such an overpowered mechanic, especially when like a unit is designed to stay in slot 1 and like it's like they allow you to keep them there and you don't have to like run a risk keeping them in slot 1 is always just so nice. And that's why Trunks and Vegeta really just kind of maintain their title as the best unit in the game for a very long time, right? It took a whole lot for them to like get out of that #1 range. Like even after Worldwide, when we thought that like maybe Cooler or Carnival Goku was better, like you could easily make the argument that Trunks and Vegeta were just better. And it's just all the little things that Trunks and Vegeta do that the other units did not. And that's why they're still so good. Like any time that I can run Trunks and Vegeta as a slot 1 unit, usually it's a good time because it's just, they take, what's so good about them is they take the stress out of the fight, right? They make it very clear on what you need to do. They make it, they're just super consistent. Rock steady in this game is something that can't go underappreciated, right? The ability to just kind of do your thing, stay in the spot where you want them at and stuff like that, it's just really important. So I feel like I've talked enough about Trunks and Vegeta. Looking at the run here, this is where things get dicey, right? Because now we have exhausted both of our orange Piccolo turns. And so that is important to know. And what we really have to do here is make sure. This is what also makes the Power Awakened version of Piccolo so good, because we're getting that 2 key on rotation. Because right here, I would have to sacrifice an 18 key super if he did not get the key per orb, right? Or not the key per orb, but the key when he gets hit. So now we can get the 24 key with Piccolo because of the AoE, and then we also make sure that both of our TURs here are getting their super attacks off, which are very important. They both get effects on super, which are super nice. We got to make sure that we get those. And ultimately we do because of the setup that we have. So 5.1 right there from Piccolo. And then sometimes he does a double super, sometimes he doesn't. In normal content, this guy seals on this as well, so that is always a plus. But unfortunately, in this this Omega is immune to all types of debuffs. There's not really much you can do. I guess the only thing that you really can hit him with is like an attack break, right? The attack break is nice, but isn't exactly like something you can. You don't really need it in this case, right? Like in this no item run, we don't really have any attack breaking going on, so. Just kind of the way it worked out. What we were really hoping for in some of these turns is just that Piccolo to do a crit, and we just never seemed to get it. Like I just couldn't get the luck to go swing my way a lot of the time. with the crits, but it was like the same thing with the Z duo. It's like we really needed them to crit in certain spots, and they just did not do it. And that's just the luck of the draw sometimes with this game, right? Like, what can you do? I believe this is the turn, though, where Gamma 1 solidifies his MVP status. Is this Gamma 1 right here? This is Gamma 1. So here you guys go. One of the harder hitting attacks in the game. Here we go. Boom. 450k. Now, that stings, but we have a team that's able to get around that, right? Because what we do is we have Trunks and Vegeta. We have their active skill. This is a guaranteed crit. We have, now we have defensive support for the rotation. And this rotation, aside from the super, that's probably going to be coming, will not, like, you know, if we can heal up a little bit with these orbs, like, so long as it's not at Vegito, like, we can survive the super from this turn, right? Like, Trunks and Vegeta should be okay with the guard and the stacking that they've done, and the same thing goes for the Boo duo. It's 100% going to sting, but will not be a death blow. And that's kind of where we're at, right? Just don't take a death blow at this point. And, you know, like I said, this is the Dokkan Russian roulette. We have physical Super Vegito on the team, and, you know, he really does put in the work, because if, you know, here's the thing, right? It should be pretty easy to tell that if this video is up and you can see the run, then physical Vegito did not take a super, because in all three phases, a super equals death, and for this Vegito. What I had to go do is go back and put a couple, like, higher tier skill orbs on that Vegito to give him some extra dodge, because, like, fixing the hidden potential unit system on a unit like that is just like that's just a waste of stones, right? Like, maybe if I pull dupes one day, I'll make him full dodge, but for now, he's just going to be stuck with his crit focus, because you know, most of the time with these counter units, that's what you want to focus on, crit, and that's ultimately what I ended up doing, and it kind of bit me in the ass, and it's not really my fault. It's just the way that Dokkan kind of did it. So here we go, Boo duo taking a super after doing a bunch of stacks. I think this is how much HP does this do? It does 230k, which is honestly quite a lot, considering how much stacking we've done with them. But, you know, ultimately I'm okay with this, because now this is where having these newer units comes into play. And this is, none of us in the call that I was in, like when I was like streaming this to a couple of my friends when I was doing it, just to have another couple of voices in my ear. But none of us realized that we had the full heal with Piccolo still. And that's just like, spoiler alert, we're going to be going into the next turn with full health. And it's not because of a Dokkan attack or anything like that, but it is just the way it goes, right? We go into the next turn, and it's like, oh boy, I'm pretty sure we're down to like the last two turns here. And like this is like, also this is like a kind of a crappy situation, because we know it's like, yeah, the full heal, and then we also have double Orange Piccolo on this turn, and like, you know, two of these guys in the same rotation is a little bit annoying, just kind of the way the game plays out. Thankfully, we were able to fully build up the Piccolo, but what we ultimately go with is my Piccolo is not going to have links, and we are just going to ride it out and assume that the super will not be in slot 3. Because after slot 3, you know, the things are going to get a little bit dicey, but my favorite words, if you're seeing it, it worked. The last turn of this is actually one of like the most like, what's it called? Like dramatic, like mid-sentence stopping endings I've ever seen to to an event in this game. Like, you guys will see. We'll set it up. We'll make it high drama, like just so it can be clipped out in the recording, right? It'll be something, right? It's so right there. Piccolo takes 250k, and what I really like about this fight, like what I really like about it, is the fact that it's even when you feel like you're completely out of the woods, you're not. And that's what's like, you'd think going into next turn, the way this is set up, it's like there's no way, like, unless he supers the Piccolo on the end, there's just no way. We're in the driver's seat. We got this. It's over. Jowarida, some would say. And it comes down to Piccolo, or not Piccolo, but the Z duo, as well as Trunks and Vegeta. They just need to do like 1 bar of health. And with the Z duo, you'd think if they do like 3 to 4 supers with crits, then it would be all, you know, Funky Cole Medina, and we'd be out of here. But that is not the case. Like, it does come down to Trunks and Vegeta, so that's just kind of how it goes, right? I'll wait until the orbs, and then we'll set it up. So you guys can see right there, 900k defense, and you know, that's just kind of how it goes. This might be the most dramatic turn in Dokkan history. So we have the Z duo doing their thing, getting all of the attack that they should, right? The Z duo is feeling fraudulent, But it's like, I just don't know. It's like, you'd think they do their thing right here, right? Especially with like that 50% chance to crit. They do ultimately do that. They get a third super. And then if they would have gotten the fourth, it would have been over. But unfortunately, they do not. And despite their best efforts, this is what we leave them with. And it just comes down to the drama, right? So now you guys can see we have the the health on Omega, right? He just literally, like, Trunks and Vegeta, if they just crit right here, it's over, right? So here we go. Trunks and Vegeta. We hit him with this, and at this point I'm talking like it's curtains. Boom! Look at his HP. And then it's a normal. And then Trunks and Vegeta do bail us out with the additional. So if they wouldn't have gotten that, you could have, I would have been deeply upset, right? And you guys will see, like, at this point, I'm just like leaned back in my chair, like, just completely speechless. Not because I got the no item, but because of how the game tried to completely rob me of the no item run. So there you go. Hardest fight in the game, done with no items. You know we had to do it to him. You know I had to do it to him. You know, where's our boy, right? Doing the thing. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy. Let me know if you're excited for this to come out to global. No item run with Omega Shenron. Leave a like, everybody. I'll catch you next time.